Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Let's go to liquids. What happens in case of liquids? As we had discussed in the earlier page, we see that liquids takes the shape of the container. Liquid has got definite volume and it also has definite mass. In order to explain the properties of liquid, let us take few different kinds of liquid. For instance, we are aware of cooking oil, then milk, which is also one type of liquid, juice, any type of juice, orange juice, lemon juice, any type of juice, water, and cold drink, which you are very fond of, cold drink. Now let us take all these. So we have different kinds of liquids with us, and what do? We take 50 ml of each of these liquids, and place them in different containers of different shapes. For instance, let us take maybe a cylindrical, a test tube, maybe something which is quite round, maybe something which is quite flat, maybe which has got a different kind of a pitcher type of shape. So what do? In each of these cases, we take 50 ml of each of these liquids and we start adding to it. We place them. Now what would you find? That whichever container of whatever shape you are taking, the liquid also takes the shape of that container. That clearly indicates the liquid does not have definite shape. For instance, in the first container, if I take cooking oil and then later on I transfer it carefully to the next one, then you find that cooking oil has now taken the shape of the small container. Now if I transfer the same cooking oil to a flat disc, then you find that it has taken the shape of a flat disc. Then again the cooking oil, if I transfer it to the maybe a conical, a pitcher type of substance, container, then we find that it has also taken the shape of the pitcher. So in all of these cases, you would see that like if you are taking cooking oil, after that you try it with milk, with juice, with water, with cold drink, they are all of different density, and in each of these cases you would find that the liquid is taking the shape of the container. So this clearly indicates that liquids do not have a definite shape. It takes the shape of the container in which it is kept. Now how is it? In case of liquid, what happens that, again if I just draw the diagram of any liquid, and these circles represents the particles. We know that liquid is a matter and these are the particles with which the matter liquid is made up of. Now in case of liquid, we find that the particles have got spaces between them. So what are the characteristics of liquid? The three important characteristics of liquid is that the particles are spaced. That means there is availability of space between the particles. The second characteristic is that the particles can move, but definitely not very fast, because this space is not as high as in case of gas and nor is it very close as in case of solid. We just find that the particles can move. It has got enough space to move around. The third is that the particles have some forces of attraction. Okay, the particles have some forces of attraction between them. Now taking these three things into account, let us explain the different physical properties of liquid. As we had already seen, the liquid takes the shape of the container. It has got definite volume and definite mass. Similarly, because the particles are slightly spaced up, you can see that there is space available between the particles. So because the space is available between the particles are free to move between these space. And as they are free to move between the space, the force of attraction is slightly lower than in case of solids. And due to which we see that the liquids can flow, that is, liquids are fluids. Why are they fluids? Because the particle can move from one place to another, but it is being held up by some forces of attraction as well. That's why they cannot move beyond a certain limit. For example, if I have a glass of water on the table and we spill, by some means the glass of water spills, you find that the liquid spreads on the table. But there is an extent till which the liquid will spread. Why is it so? Why is the liquid not taking why is it not covering the glass of water, not flowing into the entire room? The reason is that because the space that is available between the particles are not so large. They also have some forces of attraction which is holding the particles together. At the same time, they are also moving. So we find till a certain extent the particles would move, the water would flow, and then it will stop flowing further. So this indicates that liquids can flow from one place to another. Next, liquids are negligibly compressible. Next comes the rigidity of the liquid. Are liquids rigid? No, they are not. And that is the reason why they take the shape of the container in which it is contained. They can take the shape of the bottle, they can take the shape of the jar, they can take the shape of the glass. In any shape, any form you want, the liquid can take the shape because they are not rigid. Why are they not rigid? Because again, they have space, they can move, and they also have forces of attraction. So you would see that again and again the characteristics of solids, liquids, whatever we had learned so far can be explained on the basis of
the physical characteristics of solid, liquid and gas depends on the physical characteristics of matter.
Clear? So liquids can flow, they are negligibly compressible to a certain extent. Clear? They are not rigid, they do not have definite shape, they are not rigid, so on and so forth. Another important thing that we should not forget that liquids can diffuse. The rate of diffusion in liquids is comparatively high as in compared to the solid. And in the previous topic we already discussed that the rate of diffusion depends on the temperature as well. Why is it so? Because higher the temperature, more would be energy available in the particles, and thus the particles would be having more kinetic energy. And due to the presence of more kinetic energy, the particles will move at a faster rate. The motion, the random motion, the continuous random motion that the particles will execute will be faster. And due to which we find that the rate of diffusion in liquid is more than in case of solid. And why is it? Because of the availability of space. So in case of liquid, we had learned that the particles are spaced, particles can move, and they also have some forces of attraction. Taking all these things into account, liquids can flow, that means liquids are fluids. They are compressible, to some extent you can compress them. They are not rigid, as well as the rate of diffusion of liquid is more than solid, whereas less than gases. I hope this is clear.